What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and some news came out about potentially 4 unannounced D&D video games coming out possibly in the near future. This one surprised me because I knew Wizards of the Coast made the digital division, essentially, to make D&D video games, or video games in general, whether they be Magic the Gathering or Dungeons & Dragons. But I thought with the fact that Dark Alliance launches in 5 days from now, and the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 is still very much in early access with, I think, supposed to be launching, I thought it was supposed to be a 1-year early access, so later this year it was supposed to be rolled out, and they have a ton of work left to do to get the full version of that game out, because they still have several classes missing. And the fact that Neverwinter, which is pretty old at this point, is adding the Bard as a class in it. There's a lot of video game work being done on the Dungeons & Dragons front, but apparently 4 games coming in the near future. Hi, by the way, again, my name is Ted. This is the Nerd Immersion channel. So if you like news coverage about Dungeons & Dragons, as well as high-level hypothetical discussions about D&D rules, top 10 videos, and all sorts of other stuff, this might be the channel for you. So I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button and turn your notification bell on. It's a great way to stay up to date on stuff. Also, I just added an announcement channel in my Discord, so if you have a Discord server and you'd like to have my one of my YouTube videos post as an announcement in your Discord, that's an option for you as well. So here we see this comicbook.com article. It says 4 unannounced D&D video games, so let's go ahead, and it says Dragonlance teased as a possible setting. So I don't know if that's good or bad, given the fact that we know we won't be getting Dragonlance, the campaign setting, this year, even though we're all pretty sure it's coming. Let's keep going. So Chris Cox, who's the president of Wizards of the Coast, mind you, that's Wizards of the Coast, not Dungeons & Dragons or Magic. This is the higher level over everything. Had an interview with GameIndustry.biz and revealed that fans can expect a total of 6 D&D themed video games over the next 5 years. 2 of those we already know, which are Baldur's Gate 3 and Dark Alliance. Beyond that, expect us to continue to push the envelope on AAA role-playing, exciting co-op themes, and even role-play/strategy hybrids. So when they say role-play strategy hybrids, does that mean, well, what does that mean? Is that like Baldur's Gate is a role-play strategy hybrid, I guess? When I think strategy, I immediately think real-time strategy, like StarCraft or something like that. But I don't think that's what they mean. One of those games is likely one in development by Hidden Path Entertainment, the developer of Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Age of Empires 2, that was described as an AAA open-world game set in a D&D setting. Now, I completely forgot about this, but I did cover that months ago, because Hidden Path Entertainment was looking to hire writers, and this was basically the only line we had, a AAA open-world game set in a D&D setting. And that, in the comments, brought on a lot of questions. Does Hidden Path Entertainment, the folks behind Age of Empires and CSGO, are they the people to make an open world setting for D&D? It seems very different. Are they going to just subcontract it out to somebody else? I don't know. He explained that D&D continued expansion into video games is largely due to its large potential audience, which is much larger than tabletop games. I think we can all agree that that is true. The market of people that play video games in this world is significantly higher than the people that play tabletop games. Although I'd love to see a statistic, and if anybody can point me to one, I would love to see, I don't know how you would determine this, but the amount of people who play video games versus the amount of people who play tabletop games, and if there could be like a Venn diagram that we could see in the middle. Because there is obviously a lot of cross-pollination there, and I think D&D has grown significantly, as we know, over the past couple of years, but I do still think video games outweigh it. I'd love to see the comparison for how many people tuned into E3 this year versus how many people will tune into D&D Live. We know the numbers are drastically different. So as big and robust as tabletop gaming is, video games are still bigger. Around 60 million people shop in hobby stores around the world, primarily purchasing strategy, role-playing, and collectibles like Magic the Gathering and D&D. 600 million people globally play those same genres on console, PCs, and phones, so the potential is enormous. Maybe I should have kept reading the article before I made my statement, but 10 times? Do you think that that's right? 10 times the amount of people, so whoever plays strategy games, but they lumped in strategy games and Magic the Gathering. So I think that that's a different audience. We're talking tabletop games, but they're talking board games and card games, well, specifically Magic. So they're saying that's 60 million people, and then the people who play these same genres of games on consoles and PCs is 600 million. So there's roughly 10 times the amount. I don't know if that takes into account the 60 million that are already playing that do both. It's probably not full 60 million, but I imagine there's a decent crossover there, but who knows. While Cox largely played coy about what the unannounced games would entail, he did hint that the future games could exist outside of the Forgotten Realms. Again, Dark Alliance and Baldur's Gate 3 are very much Forgotten Realms. The most recognizable of D&D's many campaign settings. I don't know if Forgotten Realms is the most recognizable either. It's just gotten the most love recently, so people know, but all right. Each game we will bring to market will explore a different, exciting adventure and set of gameplay themes in the diverse universe. In one game, you might run a thieves guild and traverse the thieves' highway of Waterdeep. In another, you might marshal dragon hosts in the war-torn world of Krynn. So we are flat out saying Dragonlance. And still another, you might explore the very origins of the D&D universe in real-time combat. The brand's richness is an enabler of tons of amazing experiences. So rather than a challenge, we see it as an opportunity. Krynn is the world explored in Dragonlance. Additionally, Clark said the future games will attempt to explore different facets of the D&D experience instead of attempting to recreate the game digitally, which has not been able to be done. The closest thing to recreating the game digitally is Celeste, Crown of the Magister. Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't do it. It has its own set of rules. They're different. There's a basis in 5e, and if you understand the rules of 5e, you'll get some of it, but they are largely different. And it does make me wonder where you can cross-pollinate there. But anyway, we don't feel like we need to boil that ocean with every video game, single game experience. Cox said of Wizards of the Coast attempt to approach the future games. Instead, the depth and breadth of D&D allows us to explore a wide variety of play experiences backed by awesome lore, amazing monsters and characters, iconic stories, and a gameplay system that invented the genre and still maintains the gold standard for it today. So let's talk about that a little bit. So what does this mean? They're making 4 additional games, and what they're saying outright is it doesn't have to be a means to try to recreate Dungeons & Dragons digitally. And I don't think a lot of people are asking for that. I wonder how much of this has anything to do with that weird virtual tabletop thing in the last video I made. But we don't need to play D&D digitally. And part of the reason we don't need to do that is, I'd say, a lot of the reason people like tabletop gaming. And that is that you could do anything you want in a tabletop game. If I make a video game, I need to program what I'm able to do. So as so many of us know from our own campaigns, you can go totally off the rails and just do some batshit crazy stuff that the DM was not prepared for, and it leads to possibly some of the most memorable moments in the game. And that's awesome. You can't program every possible scenario into a video game because you can't determine how I'll think to solve a problem versus how you'll think to solve a problem. You could do a lot. You can come up with a lot of different options, but it still has to be, ones and zeros of what I can choose to do or not do in the game. And that's why I don't think, for the most part, games that attempt to replicate the full D&D experience digitally does a good job. Again, there are some great options. Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot of fun, and I do enjoy it for what it is. Celeste, Crown of the Magister is a much closer representation of what 5e rules are, and that's even more impressive when you think about how it's by a smaller studio. But I like that they're it sounds to me like they're realizing, hey, we have this amazing license of characters and concepts and rules and storylines. We can take this and do other things with it. And I think that that's where these video games will truly shine. So we know Baldur's Gate I keep saying Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance because that was the old one. Dark Alliance comes out next week. Will I play it? Yes. Do I think I'll enjoy it? For a little while. From watching the videos and watching the gameplay, it's a 4-player hack and slash beat 'em up game. It will get repetitive. I have no doubt in my mind that I will get bored of that game. It's just how it is. I didn't see anything in any of the promotional material that made me think, oh, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to be really engaged in this. Yeah, there's 4 characters. and I could enjoy myself. I'll unlock probably different abilities as I level up and different combos, and that'll be fun. And maybe I can invest a little bit in gear and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to do as well. So like when I think about games that I've enjoyed that can be repetitive but are very fun, one that immediately jumped to my mind because it was using a license but something different was the Shadow of Mordor series, Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor. That was a great game and a great series of games, but it had different ways to approach things. You had missions to go on. You could choose to do things via stealth. There was mounting style mechanics for adding creatures into the game. You could just go balls to the wall out in the open and go crazy. They had the really interesting concept of the like the villain mechanic, where like if an enemy killed you, it leveled up and got stronger. Plus, it was also telling a story about an aspect of a game, or of a world that we really like, telling a side of the story that, at least for me, I never knew. So that was filling in some backstory about a franchise that I really liked by allowing me to play it out, and I thought that that was really cool. I don't see that in this Dark Alliance game. I just see the Companions of the Hall just beating the shit out of a bunch of monsters. That's what I see. I hope that I'm totally wrong, but I don't see in-depth gameplay of different kinds of things. I see it's new monsters, and I'm going to beat the shit out of them, and I'm going to move on. And maybe there'll be interesting boss mechanics. I don't think it's going to be anything on the level of like Dark Souls, where there's that kind of tactical combat. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, not to beat a dead horse, let's move on. What do I think? So they mentioned a couple of things there. They said you might run a thieves guild and traverse the thieves highway of Waterdeep. I don't know what running a thieves guild means. That sounds almost more like a resource management style game. In another, you might marshal dragon hosts in the war-torn world of Krynn. That could be interesting, involving like aerial combat or something like that. In another, you might explore the very origins of the D&D universe in real-time combat. So if I think about the types of games you could do that I think would be interesting, I mean, I don't love RTS games, and we've already discussed on the channel how mass combat is not really something that D&D does well in the game that it is. But you could make a mass combat RTS style game. You would just have access to the D&D license. So it probably wouldn't be innovative in anything. You know, it'd either be like your Age of Empires or your World of Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, your Warcraft 3 or your StarCraft or things like that. It would be similar to that. It would just, instead of using those IPs, it would use the D&D IP. And I do think that that would do well. I do think people would buy that, but I don't think that that's the route. I don't think I'd put all my eggs in that basket. Again, the what intersects the RTS player and the D&D player, I think there is some pollination, a cross-pollination there. You'll get that, but I don't think that it's enough to really warrant you going that route. But I mean, if maybe they've got money to burn, they'll do that. You could do maybe I don't know how, if this would work, but similar to like a I don't want to, like a park builder or like a simulation thing like that, you know, where you kind of are building out resources like a roller coaster tycoon or something like that, building out a city. Maybe that's the one talking about, like building a thieves guild. I don't think that would be that fun. I don't enjoy those games, so that I'm not a good answer for that. So I really don't know. I think a stealth D&D game could be fun, you know, like a kind of an Assassin's Creed or something in that nature, where you have, it's primarily, you are a rogue, you are doing stealth missions like a Splinter Cell or something like that. That would be different, and I think that could do well. You know, there's all the like the Dynasty Warriors style games that are just like crazy mass combat. You know, we've seen it work well in the Fire Emblem and Legend of Zelda series. They've had, you know, with the Hyrule Warriors and all that stuff, that has done well. But I wonder how close that would step on the toes of something like, I mean, I think an MMO might be okay, or more of a Diablo style game, you know, that has like, it's a loot style game. You could attempt a first person game, right? Maybe with a crossbow or a bow, like, but that treads right along the lines of the Elder Scrolls series. And they've been doing that for forever, so I don't think you really want to go that route. I don't know. Maybe a fighting game. How stupid would that be? Like, choose your character, and it's just it's a traditional fighting game, but it's like, I'm gonna play Drizzt, and I'm gonna fight Elminster in some sort of 2D Killer Instinct style combat. I know that I'm saying that's stupid, and I do feel like it is, but I'd play it. I would definitely play it. Or how about we call it oh god, what would you call it? Forgotten Realms Racing, like some stupid ass kart racing game. You know, they always try to do those with random franchises, Sonic Racing and Crash Team Racing and Mario Kart. Could you imagine? A little stupid Drizzt avatar and like a little riding like a little Guinevere or a little Andahar zipping around. Oh, anyway, it's late and I'm just spewing nonsense. So let me know what you think about these 4 new D&D video games. What would you like to see? Maybe there's a genre that I'm just completely not even touching on. I would just do like Bejeweled, like a D&D Bejeweled game, a mobile game. I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.